The day I lost my wife, the world shattered into pieces I'm still picking up. 5 years ago, a car accident stole her from us, leaving me and our 2 kids, 7 and 9, to navigate a life that felt hollow without her laughter, her warmth, her everything. I was 35, suddenly a widower, trying to be both mom and dad to 2 grieving children while my own heart bled in silence. We clung to our little house in Oakville, a place she'd made ours, its walls echoing memories of her. Every day was a battle to keep going, to show my kids we could survive the pain. Then I met Jane, 31, a woman who seemed like a flicker of light in our endless night. Her smile promised hope, a chance to rebuild. I let myself believe we could heal together, that love could mend what death had broken. But I never imagined she'd demand I tear my kids from their home, their sanctuary, to make room for her own family's chaos, threatening to unravel the fragile life we'd fought so hard to hold on to. My fiancé said, "Send your kids to boarding school, or the wedding's off," so I scrapped it all and watched her world fall apart. I'm a single dad with 2 kids, 7 and 9. Their mom died a few years back, and it's been just us 3 since. Life's been rough, but I reckon we've held it together pretty well. My kids are awesome, kind, sharp, and tough as nails. They're my reason to keep going. About a year and a half ago, I met this woman, let's call her Jane. She's 31, and we clicked at a barbecue through mutual mates. At first, she seemed like the whole package, lively, charming, with this vibe that pulled people in. We hit it off quick, and before long, we were dating. Jane tried to bond with my kids early on, which I liked. She'd take them for ice cream or to the park, always making an effort. The kids were polite but kept their distance a bit. They've been through a lot, so I figured they were just cautious about getting close to someone new. Thought it was normal. Takes time, yeah. Early on, everything felt solid. Jane got that my kids were my world, that we came as a package. She'd rave about my parenting and how she wanted in on our lives. Felt good to have someone who seemed to understand. Things got serious over time. Jane and I spent more time together, and she started crashing at my place sometimes. The kids were okay with it, not thrilled, but not against it either. I thought we were all getting used to the idea of mixing our lives, but looking back, there were warning signs I missed. For one, Jane started nitpicking the house. She'd say stuff like, "It's cozy, but we could spruce it up," or, "The kids' rooms are cute, but how about a revamp?" Didn't think much of it then, just her wanting to leave her mark, and I was fine with that. She also talked about our future a lot. Building a life, traveling, maybe even having a kid together someday. I wasn't opposed, but I always made it clear my kids came first. She'd nod and smile, but now I'm not sure she really got it. Then there was her family, mainly her brother, Tom. He popped up in chats now and then, but not in a good way. Tom was in a bad spot, lost his job, struggling, crashing at the parents' place. Jane talked about him like he was a lost cause, but also like everyone owed him help. Didn't dwell on it at first. Everyone's got a family member who needs a hand sometimes, and it wasn't my place to judge. But the more I learned about Tom, the more I saw what a mess he was. Couldn't keep a job, made awful choices, and had no drive to change. Still, it didn't feel like a deal breaker then. Jane and I were getting tight, and I started thinking about a future together. I'd been solo for so long, it felt nice to picture a partner. About a year in, I started seriously considering popping the question. Jane was dropping hints, showing me ring pics, talking venues, that sort of thing. I wasn't clueless, and honestly, I thought it was a solid plan. The kids were doing great in school, we had a steady routine, and I felt ready for the next step. I knew blending lives wouldn't be a breeze, but I believed we could pull it off. Planned a simple, heartfelt proposal at the park where we had one of our first dates. Nothing flashy, just real. On the day, I was nervous but pumped. As we walked, I told her what she meant to me, pulled out the ring, and asked her to marry me. She said yes, over the moon as she slid the ring on, already planning the wedding and our future. In that moment, everything felt perfect. Had no clue how fast it'd all go to hell. The first couple weeks after the proposal were a whirlwind. Jane dove into wedding planning, color schemes, venues, scrolling Pinterest like it was her job. I was just trying to keep up. With work, the kids, and everything else, I let her run the show on wedding stuff. She was stoked, and I didn't want to kill her buzz. But as time went on, little things started bugging me. At first, it was small comments, like how the house needed a woman's touch or how she wanted our future to be more polished. Had no idea what she meant by polished, but I let it slide. Maybe she just wanted to make the place hers too. Then she started dropping hints. Wouldn't it be nice to clear out the kids' old stuff for a more open vibe? Or move their things to the garage to keep things tidier? Alone, these comments seemed harmless, but together, it felt like she was trying to wipe out the home we'd built. Didn't say much then. Thought she was just excited about our future, and maybe I was overthinking it. Then came the furniture. One Saturday, Jane rocked up with a catalogue and a plan to upgrade the living room. I didn't even know what needed upgrading. The couch was fine, the coffee table was solid, and the kids' beanbags in the corner. Non-negotiable. She went on about wanting the space to feel more adult and less messy. Had to bite my tongue to keep from losing it. This was a family home, not some fancy showroom. The first big clash was when she suggested turning the spare room, our study and the kids' craft space, into a guest room. Called it a compromise since the kids could still use it sometimes. That room wasn't just a room. It's where the kids did their art, where I worked late when they were asleep. It was ours. Told her flat out we weren't changing it. She didn't argue, but I could see she was pissed. Made some snarky comment about figuring out space for everyone eventually, and I let it go. Around then, Tom started coming up more in her talks. He was still at her parents', but Jane said it was temporary. Kept mentioning how he needed support and how tough it was to watch him struggle. I didn't know what to say. Tom wasn't my problem, and I had enough on my plate. Then she asked if Tom could come for dinner, saying he wanted to get to know me and the kids since we'd be family soon. I said sure, curious about him. Dinner was a disaster. Tom showed up late, reeking of bad choices, and spent the night whining about his life. Barely acknowledged the kids, who were excited to meet him, and only talked to Jane. Tried making small talk, but it was like pulling teeth. After he left, Jane went on about how great it was we all got together. Didn't know what dinner she was at, 'cause it wasn't the one I sat through. Told her Tom seemed like he had a lot going on, and she got defensive, saying he just needed a chance to turn things around. Let it slide, but the way she jumped to his defense rubbed me wrong. A couple weeks later, Jane wouldn't shut up about Tom. Said her parents were pushing her to help him, and she felt torn between her family and our future. Could tell she was fishing for something, but I wasn't biting. That's when she got bold. Suggested Tom could stay with us for a bit after the wedding. Told her I wasn't cool with that, but she kept pushing. Said it'd be temporary, he'd stay out of the way. Asked where he'd even sleep, and she casually mentioned the spare room. Reminded her that was the kids' space, and she acted like it was no big deal. That talk went nowhere, but it left me sour. Around then, I noticed Jane acting different with the kids. Started asking about their school and routine, seemed innocent at first. But then she made weird comments about how they'd benefit from structure, or might like a new environment. One day, my son asked what a boarding school was. Froze. Asked where he heard that, and he said Jane brought it up. Alarm bells went off loud. Confronted Jane, and she laughed it off, saying she was just talking about how boarding schools have great programs. Claimed it was an innocent chat, but I wasn't buying it. Told her to stop putting ideas like that in their heads. She got defensive, saying she was just trying to help. By then, the cracks in our relationship were glaring. Jane seemed less about building a life with us and more about twisting our life to fit her plans. Felt like I wasn't blending a family. I was getting railroaded into compromises I didn't want. After that boarding school talk, I hoped it was a one-off. Told myself it was a misunderstanding, maybe her clumsy way of connecting with the kids. Wanted to give her a chance, 'cause I still thought we were aiming for the same future. But as days passed, it all started adding up, and it wasn't good. Had no idea how far she'd push until one night she sat me down and spilled it all. It was a normal evening. Kids upstairs doing homework, me trying to chill on the couch after a long day. Jane walked in with this look, like she was about to drop something I wouldn't like. Sat across from me. We need to talk, she said. Sighed. All right, what's up? She paused, which wasn't like her. Jane usually didn't hold back. I've been thinking about how we'll make this work when we're married, she said, choosing her words. Okay, I said, already tensing up. It's about the house, she went on. It won't work like this with all of us here. Frowned. What do you mean? We're managing fine. She shook her head, giving me this look like I was clueless. No, we're not. This house is too small for us all to live comfortably. We need changes. Patience was already thinning. Jane, the kids have their rooms. I've got my office, spare room. It's not perfect, but it works. What changes? That's when she hit me with it. I think we should send the kids to boarding school. Stared at her, brain catching up, remembering the kids mentioning it too. Boarding school? You serious? Yeah, I'm serious, she said, all firm. I've looked into it, and there are awesome programs out there. They'd get a top-notch education, make new friends, learn to stand on their own. It's a great opportunity. Narrowed my eyes. What's the real reason for this? 'Cause this feels like it's not about the kids. She paused, then got sharp. Fine, she said. If the kids went to boarding school, it'd free up space here. Tom could move in, have a proper room. He needs stability, and this is the best way to do it. There it was, the truth. Shook my head, anger rising. You want me to ship my kids off so your drunk, jobless brother can take their house? You hearing yourself? She sighed like I was the unreasonable one. Tom's in a rough spot. He needs help, and this give him a fresh start. It's not just about him. It's about us building a future. We got to think about everyone. Everyone? I repeated, voice getting louder. Jane, what's best for my kids is staying here with their friends, their routine, their dad, not getting sent away so your brother can crash here. Her face hardened. You're being so narrow-minded, she snapped. You won't even think about what boarding school could do for them. I'm not suggesting something bad. They'd get a killer education, and we'd have the space to start fresh. I don't need a fresh start, I said, firm. My kids don't either. They need stability, something they've barely had since their mom died. I'm not tossing that out, 'cause Tom can't get his shit together. She looked pissed. Why are you making this so hard? Tom's family. He needs us. Isn't that what families do? Help each other. Tom's your family, I shot back. My family's upstairs doing homework in a house that's supposed to be their safe spot. You don't get to waltz in and say their lives matter less than your brother's comfort. That hit a nerve. Her tone turned nasty. You're acting like I'm trying to hurt them, she said, voice sharp. I'm not. I'm trying to make a life where we all have space, but you're too stuck to see how good this could be. This isn't about what's good for everyone, I fired back. It's about you pushing my kids out of their home for your brother. That's not happening, Jane. Not now, not ever. She stood up fast, arms crossed. Fine, she said, barely keeping it together. If you won't even consider this, maybe we need to rethink everything. Stood up too, meeting her glare. What's that mean? It means, she said slow, if you can't put my family first for once, this won't work. I'm not marrying someone who doesn't respect my family. Stared at her, floored. Respect your family? You want to talk respect? What about my kids? My family? She didn't budge. Your choice, she said, doubling down. Me or your kids. Pick, and I won't take less. She stormed out, leaving me standing there, stunned. Couldn't believe it. I'd known something was off for weeks, but this was next level. First time since proposing I thought I'd screwed up big. Tension had been brewing for weeks. Every time Jane mentioned Tom, it was like a fight waiting to happen. Then Tom showed up out of nowhere, and I was done. The nerve of that guy left me speechless. How's someone so clueless they think they can just waltz into your life for a free ride? His recklessness wasn't just wild, it was disgusting. Wasn't even his first unannounced visit. But after everything lately, I had no patience left. It was a Saturday morning. I was in the kitchen whipping up breakfast while the kids watched cartoons in the living room. A sharp knock at the door, loud, like they weren't leaving. Already had a bad feeling. Ignore it, I called to the kids, thinking it was a delivery or some salesman. But the knocking kept going. Opened the door, and there's Tom with his smug ass grin, acting like he's just popping by a mate's place, not stirring up trouble. "Yo, man," he said, nodding. "Thought I'd drop by. Got a sec?" Blinked, trying to wrap my head around why he was here. "Jane didn't say you were coming," I said, flat. Tom shrugged. "Didn't think I needed an invite. She said you're sorting out me moving in, so I figured I'd check the place out." "The ball's on this guy. Think there's a mix-up," I said, keeping cool. "We haven't agreed to you moving in." Tom laughed like I was joking. "Come on, man. Jane said it's basically done. Just gotta figure out the details, right?" Before I could say anything, he pushed past me into the living room. My youngest looked up from the couch, confused. My oldest gave me a look that screamed, "What's this guy doing here?" "Nice place," Tom said, eyeing it like he was pricing it. Plopped on the couch, sprawling out like he owned it. Clenched my fists, trying not to snap. "Tom, bad timing. Should have called." Before he could reply, Jane walked in. She froze for a second seeing Tom, then flashed this fake, cheery smile. "Oh, Tom, didn't expect you so early." "Early?" I said, turning to her. "Didn't know he was coming, period." She waved it off. Must have slipped my mind. No biggie, right? Looked at the kids and told them to head upstairs. Once they were gone, I turned to Jane and Tom. "What's this about?" I asked, voice tight. "Tom says he's here to scope the house, 'cause you've been talking about him moving in." Jane's smile slipped, but she bounced back quick. "Babe," she said, stepping closer, "I was just trying to help. Tom's in a rough spot, and I thought if he saw how it could work, you'd be more open." "We've been over this," I said. "I'm done. I told you I'm not okay with it." Tom, still lounging on my couch, piped up. "Chill, man. Not asking for much. Just a bed and some space. You won't even know I'm here." Turned to him, ice cold. "This ain't your call, Tom. It's not happening." He scoffed, stood, and grabbed his jacket. All right. Don't get your panties in a twist. I'll let you two figure it out." Muttered something as he left. Soon as he was gone, I turned to Jane. "What the hell was that?" "What do you mean?" She snapped. "Tom's my family. He needs help, and I'm trying to fix it. You're making this harder than it needs to be." "I'm making it harder," I said, voice rising. "You're sneaking around, making plans for my house, my kids, my family." "That's okay with you?" Jane crossed her arms, glaring. "You're impossible. Tom's family, and family helps family. Why don't you get that?" "'Cause this ain't just about Tom," I said. "It's about you trying to shove my kids out for him. They've been through enough. I'm not flipping their lives upside down for you or your brother." Her face twisted. "You're so damn stubborn," she spat. "Do you even care how hard this is for me? I'm trying to build a future with you, and you're too busy clinging to your little setup." "That setup's my kid's life," I shot back. "I'm not apologizing for protecting it. If you can't see that, maybe you don't belong in this family." Her face went cold, and I knew what was coming. "Fine," she said, icy. "If you won't budge, maybe we need to rethink this whole thing." Stood there, letting it sink in. Then took a deep breath and looked her dead in the eye. "You're right," I said. "We do, and I've made my call." Her face twitched, shock, maybe anger. "What's that mean?" "Means I'm picking my kids," I said, steady. "They come first, always. If you can't deal, we done." Silence hit like a brick. She stared like she couldn't believe it. I didn't flinch. "That it, then?" she asked, voice shaky. "Yeah," I said. "That's it." Turned and walked away, leaving her standing there, speechless. Walking away from Jane, I felt weird, relieved I'd stood up for my kids, but heavy too. Wasn't just the end of a fight, it was the end of everything we'd planned. Knew it was coming, but it still sucked. Jane didn't handle it well. First day or two after I called it off, she barely spoke. Dodged me, hardly looked at me when she swung by to grab her stuff. Thought she was processing. Then the storm hit. Started with the wedding. Jane called one night, all cold and businesslike. So, you're cancelling everything, I assume? Yeah, I said, keeping it short. No point keeping it going. She jumped in. Good. Then we need to talk money. Frowned. What money? The deposits, she snapped. I put money down for the caterer, and since you're bailing, you should cover me. It's only fair. Paused, seeing her demands weren't stopping even now. Jane, I paid the venue deposit. Way more than your caterer cost, I said. That's not the point, she bit back. You ended this, so you deal with the fallout. Took a breath, staying calm. I'm not paying you back, Jane. We both chipped in for this wedding, both new deposits might not come back. You made your choices, I made mine. This is on us both. She wasn't having it. So you're just gonna leave me screwed for hundreds? I'm out thousands, I said, firm. Venue, invitations, flowers. I covered that. I'm not paying more, 'cause you wanna point fingers. Talk went nowhere. She kept saying I was unfair. I held my ground. Eventually, she hung up, but didn't stop. Next few days, she blew up my phone. Texts, emails, voicemails, all demanding I pay for the caterer. Even threatened small claims court at one point. Wasn't just about money, though. Jane wasn't cool with leaving it at a money fight. She started spreading her story to mutual friends and family, making me the bad guy who ditched her and wouldn't help her struggling brother. Got calls from people I hadn't talked to in ages, asking what was up and why I was such a jerk. One of her cousins, who I'd met once, had the gall to lecture me on family values. Tom's having a hard time, she said. You could have made a small sacrifice. It's not like you'd be out on the street. Bit my tongue, not wanting to argue with someone clueless, but it stung. Nobody seemed to give a damn about my kids or how Jane's demands would have flipped their world. All they cared about was her sob story, where I was the heartless prick. Lucky for me, my close mates and some family had my back. Knew the truth and didn't hesitate to support me. You did right, one friend said. Anyone who tries to push your kids out doesn't belong in your life. Still, the fallout was draining. Canceling the wedding was a nightmare. Had to call vendors, explain without spilling too much, and deal with the awkwardness of nixing an event people had already saved the date for. Most were cool, but some pried for dirt. Kept it vague, said it was mutual, we weren't on the same page about the future. Through it all, the kids didn't know everything, but they sensed a shift. My oldest asked one night, "We not getting a stepmom anymore?" Smiled soft and shook my head. Nah, we're not. But that's alright. We still a family, and that ain't changing. They looked relieved, which just proved I'd made the right call. The idea of them being sent to boarding school while Tom took their rooms still pissed me off. Jane totally misjudged how much being a dad means to me. That was her biggest screw up. Last straw was a week later when Jane showed up unannounced to grab more stuff. Walked in like she still had a claim, eyeing the place like she was checking for her absence. Didn't say much, just packed in silence while I stayed in the kitchen, giving her space. But as she was leaving, she stopped in the doorway and turned. You know, she said, voice like ice, you'll regret this. You had a shot at something better, and you blew it. Met her eyes, calm but solid. Nah, Jane, I didn't blow anything. I protected what matters. My kids, their home. If you can't get that, this was never gonna work. Her face flickered, like she wanted to argue but couldn't find words. Finally, she scoffed, muttered something, and walked out for good. House feels quieter now. Honestly, this ain't the future I saw when I proposed, but maybe that's for the best. My kids are safe, their home's still theirs, and I'm free from the mess Jane tried to drag in. Still, I wonder if I missed something early on that could have dodged all this. I'm still chewing it over, but I'd love your take and advice. I'll update if anything big pops off. Thanks for reading, Reddit. Final update. Yo, thought breaking it off and cancelling the wedding would end the drama. Couldn't have been more wrong. Walking away from Jane wasn't just about keeping my kids safe and our home solid. it was dealing with a shitstorm I didn't see coming. From Jane spreading lies about me to Tom throwing veiled threats, it went from intense to straight up nuts. You know, she already tried playing victim to our families. But she leveled up. Told mutual friends and some of my family I was abusive and controlling, twisting it so she was the poor victim. Suddenly, I'm getting calls and texts from people wanting me to explain myself. Some were cool, others straight up accused me of being a monster. One mutual mate, call him Mike, rang me like, "Yo, heard you made Jane's life hell. What's the deal?" Took a deep breath before answering. "Mike, you really think I'd do that? She wanted my kids in boarding school so her brother could move in. That's the truth." Lucky, Mike was chill enough to hear me out. After I laid it all out, he backed off, but not everyone was that reasonable. Jane had a knack for twisting shit. Always knew how to play the victim. Tom wasn't any better. Week after the split, he texted me out of nowhere. Message said, "You're a gutless coward for not helping family. Might swing by to take what's mine. Hope I don't gotta make you." The entitlement blew my mind. I hadn't taken jack from Tom. Only thing I did was refuse to let him steamroll my home. But his text wasn't just annoying, it was creepy. Wasn't taking chances. Called a locksmith next day to swap every lock. For a few days, kept expecting Tom to show up, banging on the door or starting shit. But it went weirdly quiet. Found out later why. A mutual friend said Tom got caught stealing cash from Jane. During one of his drunk benders, he got into her bank account and wiped it clean. Not pocket change, thousands gone. When I heard, I wasn't shocked. Felt inevitable. Tom was a leech the whole time I knew him, always expecting someone to fix his screw-ups. But this was too far, even for him. Worse, after jacking her money, Tom vanished. No calls, no texts, no one saw him for days. Jane was left scrambling, not just to cover bills but to deal with debt he dumped on her. Then, because shit wasn't wild enough, Jane showed up at my place. No call, no text, just there, looking like she hadn't slept in days. Opened the door, and before I could speak, she launched into her sob story. "I need your help," she said, voice shaky. "Tom stole everything. I'm screwed." Stood there, taking it in. Flashed back to all the crap she put me and Kinnan through, and any pity I might have had vanished. "Jane," I said, firm, "this ain't my mess. You made your choice. You wanted Tom living here. Remember? Put him above everything, including my kids. Now you're dealing with the fallout." Her face went from begging to pissed in a snap. "How can you be so cold?" she barked. "Thought you cared about me." "I did," I said. "But you showed your true colors. You put your brother's comfort over my kids' stability, and I ain't cleaning up the mess that came from it. This is on you." She tried arguing, but I cut her off. "You gotta go," I said. "Steady. I'm done." She stood there, shocked. Then, without a word, turned and left. Over the next few weeks, the chaos kept rippling through Jane's life. Tom was still MIA, her finances were trashed, and mutual friends started bailing as the truth about Tom came out. The lies she spread about me didn't hold up, and people saw the real story. Looking back, I got no regrets. Not the breakup, not the cancelled wedding, and sure as hell not choosing my kids over Jane and her trainwreck family. Was a brutal lesson, but I'll never forget it. People you let in should add to your life, not suck it dry. And if that means slamming the door on someone who doesn't respect your boundaries, so be it. My kids come first, always.